Hello world, hello Zion, it's Prince Easy coming at you again. And as usual, we have a couple slides that I wanna get into your way, right? And of course, like I said last time, we're gonna try to catch up, right? So when I say catch up, it mostly means we are gonna go through a lot of slides, right? And as usual, it's not pertaining to one particular issue. Right? You know my style. I don't need to even explain that. Right? So, of course, for educational purposes only, right? And others for criticism, right? But again, a disclaimer. So, the G7 spent Africans' GDP on missiles. I need people to let that sink in. Okay, let that sink in. Okay, you can put it aside or you can put it in a piece of paper or anything like that, right? But that's the reality. Okay, this is just real life, right? And like I say, is it a dark joke? It is reality. Okay, it is the, what do they call, the most civilized peoples to ever exist. Here we are. Now there is uproar in Poland, right? After that whole fiasco, and I heard that after the supposed train sabotage, they let the two Ukrainians go, right? Just like they wanna let the people who blew up the Nord Stream to Poland. You're in trouble. Let's just say that. All right. Another thing, thwarted by the FSB, right? When they say sabotage, that means they are looking for, like, I don't know, some political, right? You can see, right? What happened in Poland and this, they are connected. These people are heavy on the narrative. Right? Kenyans are to remind one thing. Even Tanzanians, even Zambians, even Malawians. I believe I have many nations here. This tendency of the media, which has even infected the masses, to disassociate themselves with situations, right? This is the fine example. He believes that Ruto personally has received bad news from the USA. He personally believes that Ruto has received bad news from the USA. Is this a fact? Let's have a common sense discussion here, right? I hope I'm not talking to idiots. You are taking it personal, and that's the problem. And the other aspect of this association that happens is with information, right? A reporter gets certain information and they do not have any sense of discernment besides what their teacher has told them in school. You have to be a journalist, and you're basically the Western version of journalism, right? It is your personal career. That's what just Western journalism is about. It's personal. It's not about the society. And no, it's about the anchor and who is saying these words, and it carries on, right? And all of a sudden, media personnel have become some sort of political rock stars and stuff. Why? Because of this disassociation they have with their governments. They know in this way they can garner more people with this demon of rebellion, right? That is basically self-destructive, right? So Kaka Sungura, the USA did not do nothing to Ruto's bottom line. Him personally, they did not do nothing. What happened? And we're gonna cover. It happened to Kenya. How can people be this idiotic in 2025? How is it? Okay, this is another argument that I'm seeing out there, right? And I think the air needs to be cleared in one way or the other. There is a thing floating out there that the people, the businesses that were targeted in this happenstance in the 29th is that there was a systematic targeting of Muslim businesses, right? I don't think that exists like I addressed it the first time, right? I don't think there is any form of religious tension in Tanzania, right? No, there will ever be, right? Why? Because we understood that if religion does not give you your humanity, then it is all pointless, right? So this grievance might be accurate, right? Might be accurate that the biggest investors so happen to be Muslim, but that does not mean that there is a systematic targeting, right? So I think this also needs to be addressed in one way or the other. Look at that. The Humanitarian Foundation is ending its mission because there is no humanitarian crisis anymore. Yeah, this is what we are going with. Right? Oh my God. Yeah. This is to rise the tensions. And I'm gonna repeat this again. You, the Indians and the Pakistanis, you need to control that region, right? That place is giving birth to terrorist activities over there. And the only two governments that can do it, either diplomatically or by force or anyhow, is if you work together, right? So do what you may with that information. I believe I heard in Pakistan and in India. So, like grown-up people, they handled their business. Kenyan president met with the Ugandan president, right? I covered that controversy about the access to the Indian Ocean and the colonial borders and whatnot, right? And of course, like big boys, they made it about the bag, right? They made it about the bag. They're developing a pipeline and a railway, right? That's good business right there, right? That's good business right there. So yeah, right? Congratulations on that whole situation, right? And we in Tanzania, of course, we are working on our end to connect the whole of East Africa by train, right? This will loosen the bottlenecks of visa restrictions and all of these things that are basically nonsensical to us as a people, as a Bantu people. These things are alien to us, are they not? But like I said many times before, this is about power, and that power represents sovereignty, right? So if this power does not have control over itself, then there won't be African unity. I hope that is understood, right? So yeah, good move. I was watching this documentary and I got these two excerpts. You can watch it for yourself. And trust me, it sounds really familiar. This over there is happening in the so-called Middle East. This over here is also happening, right, in real time. Yeah, now they are coming out with new malware. Well, you shouldn't be really concerned about this, right? Take it from a person who is under constant surveillance, right? I'm talking, they know exactly who I was talking to and what I was talking about with, right? So the world has moved so far when it comes to intelligence. So when you hear such statements, right, take it from me, right, with a grain of salt or whatever. They are trying to sell you something. They are trying to sell you something, right? Just like the Russia is gonna bomb Germany and England, and yeah, they are trying to sell you something, right? Even this is a temptation, right? This is a temptations that the elite have had, and now they're finding a way to, I don't know, justify it to themselves or something, right? But again, all I'm gonna say is they be monsters. eh? Psychopathic praise, right? This is, again, they are reinforcing that what can I even call it, um, the Wizard of Oz situation, right? Remember that story? Yeah, so you're watching the real Wizard of Oz, right? Elon Musk is that controller behind the wizard, the image of the Wizard of Oz, and now he's pretending like the thing can think for itself, right? So all of a sudden it just woke up and started, I don't know, speaking positively. Let me just use that language, right? Speaking positively on its maker. Like, are you serious? Right? Yeah. Hmm? Just getting involved in more and more. These people are scammy. I don't know why, but again, we're gonna have a talk, right? Even the president, really scammy, right? He came in with a crypto scam and collapsed. I don't know how many times it has to collapse, and still people keep buying into it. I don't know, but to each their own. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, right? This is that meeting, right? So yeah, these grown men here are more sensible than the young people, and it's the honest truth of Africa everywhere. It's the truth, brothers and sisters. You don't want to hear it, but it is, right? Do not live in a vacuum, right? We here on YouTube find information, make an effort, right? We listen to each other, right? Spending minutes and hours and days listening to each other, communicating back and forth, sharing perspectives. We made the effort, right? This effort does not literally translate to us changing Africa. No. This is it has to be a planned process. It just doesn't happen, okay? It just doesn't happen. A lot of our people are in the dark, right? A lot of our people in the dark, and of course it seems like we are fighting an uphill battle, and indeed it is, because we are fighting both our people and external influences. So we need to take out one opponent, right? One opponent being our own people. We need to inform them. We need to give them game of what is really going on and what is really unfolding, right? And if the opponent, the external opponent, for various or whatever reason, right? I'm going to cycle back to that. And like I said, we are Bantu, right? If we come live here with us, you'll understand what that means literally, right? So we are not greedy people. We are not raised by greedy parents, right? So again, it is what it is, right? I don't know, man. The title captured me, captivated me, right? Caracas turns biblical. Yeah, and of course, Maduro is turning people out here. Right? These journalists, they're undefeated, I tell you. They tell the best jokes. Efforts being done in Somalia, right? Keep at it, right? Keep at it. It's not okay that we keep capturing your citizens, just moving across borders illegally, doing illegal activities. It's not cool, right? You have a big potential there in Somalia, right? Literally, you can be an access to the whole of the, I don't know, upper sub-Sahara. Is that even correct? Yeah. Just imagine a port in Somalia, right? A pipeline supplying fuel, yeah, from Somalia and from outside, passing through, going to the whole Central African Republic. These countries don't have like fuel. Let me show you a map. So again, what is happening in Somalia should not surprise people. Look at the strategic position, right, that Somalia holds, right? Somalia can have heavy influence, right, from Mogadishu to Kenya, right, from Somalia to Ethiopia, right? Imagine goods moving from Somalia to Ethiopia to South Sudan to Sudan. I mean, these things are just waiting for people to start being insane. Okay, that's all I'm saying. The potential is there. People just needs to stop being idiots, right? And by idiots, I mean the whole situation in Sudan is idiotic, right? That penis measurement is not going to end well for you two generals over there. You're not even generals in my perspective. You are a disgrace to what humanity has regarded to be a warrior. You're a disgrace, right? You have deviated from being warriors. Now you are, I don't know what even to call you, right? And what Kenya is doing with the Janja weed over there in the border for peace and whatever, because of the cattle raids and whatnot. Why don't you set up a situation, right? Ethiopia can help, because Ethiopia is dealing with the same situation. What do you think these problems are coming out? Right? Ethiopia is going to be caught in the crosshair. The issues of South Sudan are going to affect Ethiopia. The issues of North Sudan are going to affect Ethiopia. The issue of Somalia. So what do you think is going to happen? The prosperity of Ethiopia is at risk. So, yeah, get your whole situation together. They are arguing for us. Was it chaotic or... Well, I'm going to use the analogy of a fruit. How do you know a fruit is poisonous if no human has ever seen it? You want to eat that fruit and die so as you can know, oh, it is poisonous. Well, another preacher, right? These people again, right? Every time the government says, please use diplomacy. Again, walokole acheni uzuzu. Have we heard this before? Kufunguliwa kwa kanisa la Gwajima sio ushindi. Ushindi unaonekana vipi kwa wewe kikosi cha Injili Nimesubscribe kwenye channel yako na kufuatilia kwa muda sana. Najua mambo yote ambayo unashutumu serikali. Imeteka watu, imesha kuteka wewe, imeteka watoto wako, imeteka kanisa lako. Mambo kibao. Kuna kipindi kasikia umekufa, mara ukarudi. Yaani ni mapicha picha mengi. Sasa nataka nijue kinagaubaga what is happening over there. Na wewe ushindi unamaanisha nini? Serikali kupinduliwa au vipi? Au mkuu mjui kwamba tarehe 29 bado rais alikuwa ni Samia? Hamjui hilo? Kwa mimi nataka nijue. Wakristo, jadili, huyu ni mwenzenu. Na niliongea mambo haya kabla mambo haya hayajatokea. Tarehe 29 kabla hajatokea mambo haya. Na nilinukuu kauli ya Mkatoliki. Anaongelea kwamba nyie ambao jenzi wa Tanzania nyie ni mazuzu. Sasa hizi anaongea na constituency yake. Walokole. Nyie ndio jeshi ambao nawategemea apparently. Acheni uzuzu mnaambiwa. Sasa nyie shughulikeni naye. Mimi hata sisemi lolote. Maana siwasikii walokole mkiwa active, na maana nyingi kuwa active ni kazi sana mkiwa na bendera za Israeli zinavyopewa kwenye majukwaa yenu. Hapo ndo shida inapoanzia. Ashes reach daily. So there is a lot of tectonic activity, if you catch my drift. Right? So for about 12,000 years, it is now activating. All of these earthquakes everywhere from Russia to Pakistan, right? Multiple in these two areas, right? Multiple in Pakistan, multiple in Russia over there. I just got recently hit with another one. And now this. Yeah, the earth is preparing to give birth, right? Huu ndo ule uchungu wa uzazi. Is somebody shocked or something? Was somebody questioning? Again. Okay. This was very informative, especially to us Africans. This was entirely centered on Africa, right? That the biggest catalyst for development for any nation starts with the university, and I could agree less. Right? We say that it begins with children, but these children, who is looking after them, who is training them, right? The products from university, right? And where do any university get its early starts after independent states? They learn from others. So again, there's two advice, right? One is the most successful model for boosting economic progress, right? Without any unprecedented or unpredictable or unpredicted consequences, and that is the state having control, right? The state has to have control. I keep insisting that. Now the new trend is state to loosen this control, because why? The corporations want to come in and take over from the states. Look at what is happening all over the world. Again, so I'm not apologetic about that whole thing. The government should involve itself, and also the people through private partnerships should get involved, right? And he talks about the two models that were applied in China and were also prior applied in other countries, right? Like Japan and Singapore, and they became successful, right? And especially here in Africa, before integration, right? This is crucial, right? That we as East Africa strategically plan our market so as people don't step in each other's shoe. I think Museveni came up with this suggestion a long time ago, right? So you make agreements, right? So as everybody can profit equally, because we are rich of resources, yes? And in order for any, I don't know, unforeseen things that are to come, again, crucial, right? Crucial. So this is just a simple extracts from the video, right? But he's an economist. You can look at the video for yourself. I looked at the whole thing, right? That's why I gave you an excerpt of what he said. But it is sane advice. And like I said many times before, our universities are letting us down. They're letting us down, right? They're not fully utilizing their potential. And the only excuse they give is politicians. Well, where did these politicians learn from? It's a full circle. You understand what I'm trying to say here? Right? Any type of the president learned from university, right? The current sitting president, the prime minister, the vice president, they all learned something from universities. So whatever moral thing they had, university was their last school before life. Yes? So mostly it is the university's fault then, isn't it? So this is a phenomenon that has been unfolding at the beginning of at the end of last week and this week, right? This blossoming confession or profession of love between the Muslims and the Christians, right? And of course, right, this is also important. I do believe it's not coincidental. I shall point out, right? How far does it go? Well, let me show you. Well, BBC, of course, the ops had to cover it. Enough of that, right? But so for those who don't get it, you see that dance? That is the one of those popular dance of these Pentecostal churches, right? And the tone is also Pentecostal churches, so don't be confused. Muslims dancing to it, right? Humor is the best medicine, and of course, our nation right now needs humor, right? It needs humor, right? And of course, this is a sign of that there won't be any backsliding in this aspect, right? Because again, cohesion. And of course, this is not a meme, right? The Muslims have been told about the people of the book, right? People of the book. There were people who had the book before the Muslims, and those were the Israelites, the Bantus, not that synagogue of Satan over there. You Arabs have nothing to learn from those people. Okay? And if you know your history well, then you understand exactly what I'm saying when I say Bantu civilized the world. Why? God's will, right? So do not fall for the deception or anything like that. And these are the remedies that we are giving the world, right? Well, again, you might ask yourself, Easy, why is this relevant? Well, this is why. This is why. Right? I don't even know, is it a fair assessment to say that this is self-sabotaging? Is it a true assessment? This is what the Tanzanians did without the supervision of the government. They did it themselves. It came from inside them, right? We understood, and we understand, and we will understand that we are connected by blood. And of course, circling back to the whole point of faith, to give you humanity. If you have lost your humanity, then there is a problem over there. And this is not the right way to address said problem. Right? Why don't people even think about what they are thinking about sometimes? Like, sheesh. Right? They say this. This is the recommendation of said, supposedly, said representative Dogua, right, from APC. Shut National Assembly until President Tinubu does the right thing. You have a jihadist crisis, right? The girls were taken. I've heard some of them were returned, but the girls were taken. And the genius idea that came out as a solution to said problem is this: shut down the National Assembly, right? The people who were supposed to make these decisions, right? The decisions on how to proceed and de-escalate this whole situation. He continues, the country is running on blood and tears. Is that a fact in Nigeria? No, it is not a fact. No, it is not. Okay? These are incidences. Bad, yes, but nevertheless incidences. And they are not widespread all over Nigeria. But again, they are saying the country is running on blood and tears. I don't know even what that means. I don't know what that means, right? Is it its economy? Is it its cohesion? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, are you saying that the Tinubu is doing this in order to stay in power? Is that because I've seen memes from everywhere, Nigerian people, right? I'm connected. Let me just tell you that. The recent soldier and leader spat, right? That went viral, right? And also the media's complicit in coverage in this whole thing, right? Again, these are all perspectives that do not bring cohesion. They're unproductive, right? And then he continues, farmers cannot go to farm, traders cannot go to markets, worshippers can't go to churches or mosques. He feels like from deep inside he has done his responsibility. I don't know if he said it, but he feels like he has done his responsibility. And these are the reactions of the people, right? So in order to counter insecurity, you need to shut down the National Assembly, right? Because of the tears and blood, because of the farmers, until Tinubu does the right thing. So do you see the narrative being painted here? Do you understand the importance of, because these things to me, they happen on a subconscious level, right? I have to have this defensive mechanism on all the time. Why? Again, survive a lot of enemies I have, right? But for a person not engaged in anything, they get programmed. They believe that Tinubu, with one word from Tinubu, these terrorists will put their weapons down and the Nigerian people will hold hands and sing Kumbaya, right? And Kumbaya, that's our stuff anyway. Okay, that's another tangent I don't want to take, right? But again, Kumbaya in every literal sense that exists historically, right? He believes that this is what happens, right? Regardless if he said it or didn't, but this is a perspective of a Nigerian. This is how they feel. So what is lacking here? Leadership. Are there no leaders in Nigeria? Yes, they are. but they're not doing their job. This is why these things prevail. They're not doing their job. They're not doing their job to bring people together, to bring that cohesion, this delicate cohesion that we have. Right? So, Serbia, how about you stop complaining and take control over your lives? How about that? You need licenses from the US to buy. I am so confused with this. This is idiotic politics. This is idiotic politics. Like, seriously, it is. So are they American companies that are doing this refining of oil in your country? Is that the case? And are you seriously telling us that it was your only option when it comes to... All I'm saying is, have you fully exhausted everything in your power to ensure the continuation of the nation of Serbia in the, I don't know, 4 days to come, as you say, from now, or from when this thing was? Is it? Did you? Because that's what it comes down to. Right? People are not going to understand you. When that oil runs out from the pump, I just got a flashback when I said pump, you know, price of the pump. You remember that word? That was the funniest word, you know, especially from that old lady. Price of the pump, we'll do price of the pump. Right? That's what you need to be concerned about, right? Not the certificate from America, right? Your people do not care about certificates from America. All they care about is oil, right? And they're looking for you to provide said oil, right? So let's imagine the Americans refuse to give you this supposed license and whatever tariff exemptions that you have yourself to wrap up. It all comes down to what exactly said. Have you fully exhausted every avenue to protect your country? Because this is what it's about. This is your country. You're out here complaining about what is happening in your country. So you are not being blackmailed. You have options, brother. Okay? You have options. And it's about time you take it serious. Okay? Hey, the thing on the dog, right? From Forbes, breaking news. They are saying private job losses speed up this month as labor market decline. Yeah, just bring it on. Here they are, right? Refuting the same things that they have taught us through the universities, right? They have told us people stop growing at 18, and they gave us scientific papers and stuff, right? It was literally a doctrine at one point, wasn't it? All right? Now I am confused. Right? I am confused. But the fact will still remain. Human growth is not linear. It is not linear. Never was, never will be. It speed up sometime, it slow down sometime. And these scientists that claim they have figured it out, here they are. Now, why did they lower the adolescence age? I don't know. Maybe they could have sexual relations with children. I don't know. And what are the implications? Right? when it comes to human law, right? Because now we have to, age of consent has to change. They're just speaking out stuff, you know, they don't even analyze what they're talking about. Again, they're trying to sell you something. Right? They're trying to sell you something, right? How is that ban on teenagers with access to some social media network? How is that going out? Again, they're trying to sell you something with that too. Believe me, you. Right? Who are the cartel terrorists? Yeah. You can look it up for yourself with the trans investigation to find yourself. Well, there's so much layers, but again, it's a delusion. It's a delusion. People are still delusional, right? Apparently there's an online debate. I don't think if it's organic or anything, but again, they are questioning whether Mary wore a veil, or because some are, I don't know, confusing that veils are only worn by Muslims, right? They don't want to get to that argument, right? Africans traditionally wear veils. We always have. Are we all Muslim? Is that what they're trying to say here? Or are they trying to polarize people over stamps? Imagine that. 2025. I think I took a double snapshot of this one here. Yeah, you are pen pushers, but in Tanzania, for some idiots, you are heroes. Well, 7.7 billion Kenyan shillings cancelled just like that. Okay. Of course, I've been watching the whole Wikipedia situation unfolding, and I'm not surprised. Right? You remember when the phenomenon of fact-checking came out during 2019? They used to insert some information under every video that raised up concerns that they did not really agree upon. Where do you think they connected with mostly? Wikipedia. So why are people shocked in 2025 while we have seen Wikipedia for the snakes they are? And how does this progress the conversation? I wonder even about this, right? How are American soldiers in Puerto Rico protecting America? Or how are they in, I don't know, in bases in Africa, right? How are British soldiers in Kenya protecting, because that's their primary objective, protecting the citizens. But since the corporations have taken over, it has not been citizens, it has been interests. That's the language they use, right? In order to feel inclusive, you know? We all know how they feel about inclusivity, right? They need to feel included, right? In peace processes and stuff like that, you know? In order for your citizens to feel included when they say our national interests. This is why these 500 bases or so are around the world, to protect our national interests. That's the most garbage word I've ever seen, or phrasing rather. Yeah, again, keeping up with that same rhetoric, right? The same rhetoric from here. There is Japan, there is Taiwan. Taiwan, the Taiwanese know that they are Chinese. They know for a fact that they are historically Chinese, and they were colonized by the Japanese, apparently. And in that whole process, 220 million people perished, from what I hear. 20 million. Sheesh. Yeah. That puts things into perspective. It puts things into perspective. And if you continue playing games, Taiwan, right, you're gonna become the next Ukraine. Okay? Indivisibility of security might be an excuse and all of this and all that, but again, it is a bigger fight than all of you and these groups that are cheering you on, right? Talking about we're gonna send weapons to Taiwan and we're gonna prepare for war 2027 and stuff. So of what concern does the Taiwanese issue have with? It does not concern you. You have your own issues. Deal with your own issues. Okay, but you wanna be in this political spotlight, right? You wanna be in the political spotlight. That's why that woman came out here and gave that statement, that provocative statement. Everybody knows it was a provocative statement. Okay, I'm over here in Africa and I know that was a provocative statement. It's the same rhetoric that they're giving Ukraine. Oh, Ukraine is a sovereign nation and this and that. And then when you bring up the issue of indivisibility of security, then it becomes a whole... you basically, by the end of it, you'll be arguing with ChatGPT. Because they have nothing to say for themselves. They're back at it, BBC. Now they are shifting gears. They are saying that... Let me translate this here. So BBC African Eye has discovered the illegal secret business of human body parts. This is what the BBC has. They have to reinforce this, right? We eat cats and dogs, right? And we even smoke human remains, right? We even smoke human remains, specifically bones. You remember that whole situation where apparently graves were being vandalized and they were crushing the bones to make a powder and they smoke it. First of all, I know no nigger who does that. Okay? And I've seen a lot of weird stuff. Okay? I've been around. Right? I know people in very low places. Very low places. Okay? So again, it is all a narrative. It is not an African phenomenon. It is not. But again, they're trying to shape a narrative. It is a weapon. Right? Now, from 10 months ago, this is what the opposition leader, the leading opposition leader, said about having a table conversation, right? Dialogue. He told BBC, right? You can look it up, that 32-minute video above there, right? From 10 months ago. Hakuna tena kuambiana mambo ya maridhiano yasiyokuwepo. Basically, he says there is no... What is the word maridhiano? The word evades me. Right? Basically, there is no diplomacy that does not exist. Right? So I would like to give you then. Right? So this is the opposition leader talking. Right? And this is the statement directed towards the government. They do not prefer nor want dialogue, right? It's the same tape playing over and over. Even after this chaos, the government is still saying the same thing. Conversate, have conversation. And they're still saying the same thing. No, they do not exist. So then what avenue is left from their perspective, right? From their perspective, what avenue is then left for them to, I don't know, have this dialogue with the government? Remember, they are opposition leader. This is an opposition leader, right? Who the EU has backed many times. Last year, the year before that, right? You can see this is from 10 months ago. So what avenue is left? And like I said, from my analysis, they cannot win politically. By the polls, they cannot win. They are weak. They have no, they are puppets being controlled by their donors and influences unbeknown to me. So then, what is left? I don't know, riots, complaining to external organizations to intervene, for calling for intervention. You remember that intervention? Yeah? That famous word. So again, this opposition ruling party shenanigan always ends screwing Africa every time. Donald Tusk, again, this is the type of leaders that we have, right? They wanna be rock stars, right? They wanna be rock stars. They are not interested in the truth whatsoever, right? So you're telling me this Donald Tusk person, I've heard his name over and over, right? Quite memorable, right? Because it is Donald and Musk at the same time. So I know I've heard his name before. He has no ability to know who drafted the thing. Is that the case? Of course, just like last summer, they said it themselves. The US came with a plan, and at the end of that plan, there was no deal reached, and America, just like last time, promised, we will not give you intelligence, nor sell you weapons. And after that whole situation broke down, they continued to sell weapons, and they continued to provide intelligence, right, for military strikes, and still pretending like they're not part of the war. We are not. Our hands are clean in this. I don't know in what sense, in a legal sense, in a military sense, in a philosophical sense. In what way have you cleared yourself from being part and parcel of this war? I don't know. I wonder. But again, deja vu, here we are. A new plan has been brought forth by the Americans. The Europeans are not happy about it, so they bring a counter offer. And that counter offer, just like last time, is not accepted by the Russians. So, are we going to see the continuation of, I don't know, giving of intelligence and selling of weapons? Because there is the issue of that 300 billion, right? That 300 billion, what is it, million or billion? I don't remember, right? The figures are so fuzzy, right? If people just buy weapons with Africans' GDP, you can't even tell the difference between a million and a billion. It's irrelevant. Right? It is irrelevant. So yeah, we're gonna see, right? I don't wanna put things up there in the air, right, to seem like, oh, I'm sabotaging this, and I know how it is gonna turn out. I'll be here. I'll be here, right? I'll be here, right? Because the US has made the same promises. We will not supply weapons, no, we will give you intelligence. And now the Europeans are like, I don't know, freaking, I don't know, dogs in heat or something, right? Rabbit. Everything that comes out of their mouth, they know for a fact. I know they know for a fact that will not be accepted by Russia. So what is left, right? Like they said, I showed you a quotation here from their own mouth, right? Europe will do what it has always done, and that is one, weaken Russia and empower Ukraine. So are we gonna see that again? We have officially caught up with the timeline, right? I would like to declare that first. Right? Even though I've shown you a slide saying the Ukrainians have agreed to the US peace plan, we are gonna see. Right? We are gonna see. Of course, they have to have narratives, just like last time, right? The Eastern media, that is basically the Western media in that sense, were talking the same things even back then, right? They were calling Trump a Russian agent. Remember that conversation, right? Have we been doing this too long? Is it? Have we documented too much? Right? Is it the case? Because we keep doing this day by day, week by week, brothers and sisters, right? If you happen here in this channel, you have seen it all. From aliens to Congo to Sudan. So all I'm saying, now they're saying again, like Tusk, Donald Tusk, he done ask over there, right? Who drew up the plan? Yeah? Europeans have a fear. I don't know why people fear peace, but again, they fear that the US might halt. I don't know what steps are they gonna take to, I don't know, make themselves feel secure, or rather convince the US to, I don't know, go along with the plan, right, by supplying intelligence and weapons. I don't know. I can speculate, okay? I can speculate. And this is not me putting words in their mouth, right? We know that I'm not with them, nor am I against them, right? I don't know. Maybe they would first have to get the US to go along with the taking of the Russian frozen assets by promise that, I don't know, a bigger portion will be given to the US. That's the only way that I see both the US and the Ukrainians and the Europeans leave this whole conversation without any argument. Am I just a simple simulation, and I just ran it just right now, right? Just a simple simulation. Of course, it has input from the previous dialogue pertaining to this whole situation, right? The last time we had this whole deja vu here, right? That time it was about weapons are gonna be bought from where, right? Is it gonna be weapons from Europe or weapons from America, right? Weapons from America won that time, right? Now we are gonna see this time. The issue is that time money was there. This time, money is not there, and the whole corruption scandal issue does not. It just makes everything worse. Okay, let's just say that. So we are gonna see. Eh? Why is it so urgent now? Praise, again, using flattery and petting of the ego, right? They know that there's a big ego here, and if you pet said ego, you'll get your way, right? So again, I don't know, and it's not up to Europeans to decide if this money gets taken. It's all up to one nation, the holder of said money, right? But again, they have to make themselves feel inclusive. In that way, they would weaken said nation that would not go along with their said plan. And we have talked about that nation and their gymnastics when it comes to blocking the Europeans from taking the Russians' asset, right? They have pushed they have time, these people have time, right? And why November 26th, I don't know, but they have time. So the EU, they're gonna sit down and they're gonna have a new plan, because we are no longer talking about what Trump brought to the table, right? Because they are questioning who even brought the table in the first place, and the paper and the printer. Who was the secretary that wrote down the thing? That's what they want to know. So yeah, we're gonna be here in November 26th to see what they have come up with, right? Again, are they gonna be consistent, or are we gonna see a shift or something, right? So, hammering down on the ops. This is a recent interview by Lavrov pertaining to what BBC accused Russia of, right? You can read for yourself, right? Of the whole atrocities. And of course, I took out a certain excerpt there because it referred to a thing prior in the whole conversation, right? So you can go look it up yourself. You can see the setting and the channel that it was from. But it is new, right? New. Right? And the BBC, right, after the Russians asked them to please provide your sources and basically prove that you are a credible and intellectual organization, right, full of professionals and stuff, not a body that runs on psyops and stuff like that, right? This is what they say. We have such rules. They say that they have orders according to which they cannot discuss confidential information if it can cause moral or other harm to the victim, right? So again, another simple tangent. There's something fishy with this dubbing. There's a big issue and needs a proper supervision. This dubbing, I've heard this dubbing just all of a sudden just yell out Israel for no reason a couple times. Not even a couple times, many times. Right? And also mistranslation, and it almost seems intentional. Right? So again, verify over time that what has been translated is accurate. Right? Information warfare and all. If you cannot, again, it's your own product. How you control, you control it yourself. Do the dubbing yourself. Put subtitles yourself. Right? Embed subtitles that you have confirmed to be a legit translation. You cannot just leave it to this ghost in a machine type situation to just speculate stuff for us. Before you know it, mistranslating stuff, and who cares? Right? So they have a policy over there that they will not release stuff if it causes moral or other harm. So let me ask you this then, you Kenyan individual that made that whole documentary. Would it be a fair assessment to say that you literally threw salt to the wound? Is that a true assessment? I'm not talking about your journalistic integrity or anything like that, because that's none of my business. We never ask you about your... nobody cares. Okay? Nobody cares that you graduated from here and here and here and here and here and here. No. We only care is that you went to school. Did you lose your humanity or did you retain it? Because it seemed you lost your humanity. Right? We are here trying to stitch up the nation, and you are trying to throw wounds by releasing clips, compiling clips. I know it for a fact. By journalistic standards, you are not supposed to release those videos. But you felt comfortable to call it an investigation, right? Is that how investigations are run? You just give out information like that? What if you are sabotaging ongoing investigations by other bodies by just doing that? Did you ever think of that? Did it cross your mind? Freaking journalist, man. Well, from inside China, this guy, very informative, right? And of course, if I had money, those capsule homes that you make, I've seen one or two in the back of your videos. Yeah, those are quite interesting, right? Those are quite interesting, right? And from what I collected, because it's not the first time you talked about this, you say that it is your business, this, huh? Quite interesting. Quite interesting. Me personally, yeah, I would prefer a home like that. Interesting home. But I want to focus on this one here. China is leading in aquaculture and solar energy production by a large margin, as you can see from the graph here. Red is China, and they cannot even be compared, right? Kwa baba levo, tafadhali usituuzie mambo ambayo Gwajima aliwauzia. Utaenda kule Japani, nitawaletea vifaa hivi na vile na vile, wabongo wataweza kununua. They have taken a Western mindset, these Japanese people, and they are proud of it, apparently, right? So this is the reality. China cannot be compared to any nation when it comes to aquaculture. Okay? So you need to learn from China. And what is exceptional about this particular documentary that my brother made here is that he was talking about, right, again, inside China, nigga is boots on ground. Okay? Boots on ground. Right? He is in China there. He's been in China over there. He knows. Right? And I trust his assessments, right? And observations. So what China has done is something very exceptional. It has combined. Is it combined? Combined. It has combined fishing or aquaculture and solar production. I don't want to spoil it for you. You can, for the sake of time, you just go look at this situation here. And for us here in Tanzania, when we talk about Lake Victoria, Lake Tanganyika, we have so much water. We have so much water, and we have access to this technology, and we have the leaders in the access of this technology. Literally one phone call. So again, something to think about. right? I'm just here to give you game. Kwa Baba Levo, nikusikia ongea alikuwa wewe na Silo. Nataka nione mna combine aquaculture na solar production. Kupunguza umaskini wa Tanzania. Nataka nione utafanya nini. Chukua jambo moja, tekeleza, fuatilia mpaka mwisho. Tafuta watu ambao wanaweza kusaidia. Same goes to even Dar es Salaam here. Alright? As I've said, I'm not a supporter of solar panels over land, right? In my view, it is a bad use of land. Right? If it's not the desert that cannot be utilized in one way or the other, even that is not even an excuse anymore. Right? China is out here turning deserts into green and stuff. Right? So land is very valuable. Right? So I can completely support this. Right? Completely support this endeavor. Right? Just put the solar panels in the ocean over there. Right? There's so much space. Right? Huku Mtwara wapi huku, they need this stuff. Right? Just put a big ass farm. Na hapo una combine aquaculture. Kwa sababu kuna manufaa. I don't want to ruin it. Right? Just go look at the video. So again, they're continuing with provocations. And now Hezbollah has given a statement. So, going back to the kidnapped girls. And I don't know, maybe it's a habit to pay in order to get your people back. That's what I call a slippery slope. A slippery slope. Right? A slippery slope. It will become a funding mechanism for the operations. Okay? And you even need to watch out even more, because you have a whole defense industry over there. They don't even need to get guns from I don't know, Middle East or Ukraine or anything like that to bring trouble to your country. And these are real life examples, yeah? Not some speculation. They can get guns from the Nigerians themselves. You make guns, don't you? So yeah, cohesion. Right? Cohesion. So, Fico, Robert, sir, welcome. Right? We are not discriminatory, regardless of what you hear me talking about here. I do not hate the West, nor do I hate white people. No, I just don't love idiots. I don't love bullies. Whatever color you come in, or whatever status in society you hold, I don't like you, I don't like you. Just like that, right? So, welcome. Tanzania is open. You'll get land. Come with proposals, you'll get business. Let's do business. They want to make war. Yeah, we have to put a stop to that. Right? We have to put a stop to that. I assess the both sides and I say, okay, I'm gonna side with these people here. Alright? But when peace comes, there are no sides. It's all gonna be business. Let's do business. Right? So again, you met with the vice president, right, in this AU-EU summit, right? And I hope some idiots did not have this urge, this colonial urge. I don't know which is, I don't know. For some individuals, I think it is in a genetic level, right? They look down upon people. They think that they could dictate stuff, you know. Well, we are not having it, right? We are going to have we have a long history of doing business with the world, right? So let's do business, and it's a good beginning. Your embassy, good beginning, right? After that, it only gets better, right? It only gets better. Yeah, BBC still at it. Now they're saying our president has been sent to the ICC. Right? Again, big news coming from Uganda, right? The same time I was spitting and putting pressure on Uganda and Dangote, not Uganda, Nigeria and Dangote to bring that oil production up. For the same time I was dealing with Uganda, and Museveni came out here and said, you know, they're having issues with the funding and stuff. Right now I'm glad to see that it is back on track. Right, we need that oil. Okay, with whatever COP 30, COP 27, COP whatever, we do not care. Right, these people are delusional. We do not care. If you have issues of funding, then make a mechanism to fund it our own themselves. Vunja vibubu vyote hivyo, lazima tuwe na mafuta, tena sio crude, jet fuel, petrol and diesel, all of them, and the accompanying products, they need to be here in Africa. Okay, not just in Africa, in East Africa. Okay, because it is unacceptable for us to be held hostage by some regimes. It is unacceptable, right? And you also, just like the other, this guy here saying that blackmailed and host. No, okay. Me personally, I don't accept it. So are you accepting it? Is that the reality now? We are just transporting crude and stuff. Narrative, important narrative, right? So is this then a good thing or a bad thing, right? Don't want to confuse the masses. How should we feel about this then, huh? All right? Africa's deadliest taboo, right? It's an Africa problem. And that spoken like a person that has not even been to Africa. Idiots. And this issue coming from Madagascar, they done found 300 kilogram emerald in presidential queue. What? Guinness World Record or something? Turkey reporting Emirati agents. And of course, we know that the Emirati agents are never working alone. When you see them, you obviously see the Israeli agencies and you obviously see the CIA. Just like a group of alphabet boys, we call them. So, DW, more speculation. What they're saying in this video, you remember that opposition leader that I showed you earlier? Now they're saying that their followers of this party are being persecuted and they're being forced to flee to Kenya for their safety. Now it is tempting to think that. It is tempting to think that. But the reality on the ground, it will tell you a different story. And if these people here really had any journalistic integrity, if they had any journalistic integrity, They wouldn't dare do this. But again, they are doing exactly what BBC is doing, throwing salt to the wound. Now they are claiming there's political persecution, while the whole thing that happened on the 29th of October was mainly targeted at the government and the leading party, right? CCM. So why would they flee? I don't know. Why do you flee? We want to know. Right? Did you have a crime that you should answer for and you fled to another country and you think that is normal? No, it is not normal. You fled. You fled the hand of the law. Right? The law of the land. You fled. You're not being persecuted. No, these people are delusional. You know? They're delusional. Right? And they keep pondering narratives in order to bring or to sow discourse among people. Right? These are the people that I don't like. Not Germany, these idiots in the government of Germany. Don't like them. Dangerous for humanity. Right? We're no longer talking nations here. This is humanity. And the leaders of... I'm going to attach a commentary from Galloway. I'm going to put it in the description of this video here. Right? I think he has said it well enough. Right? And it has some power when it comes from a European. Yeah, this is the reality. Stock. The discourse has been sown. Now the reaping. Are they going to reap blood or are we going to reap peace as humanity? It all depends on if you go along to get along. And that's the problem with the entirety of EU. Just people with slave mentalities, you know. They go along to get along, regardless of how dangerous the campaigns are. Right? I don't want to step in nobody's feet. You know, we are in a exclusive club, you know. We are in this here exclusive club, and missing out on this club is just like missing out on the whole world. Like our nations will end, you know. That's probably what they'll be thinking about NATO, you know. That's why this is the product they sold them, right? They told them, there will be no peace, so don't quit NATO, don't disband NATO, even though the Soviet Union fell. Do not disband it, you know. They were trying to sell you weapons. That was the product they were trying to sell you. And now we are seeing the payout, their payout of their investment, of this paranoia and psychological operations that they have run for years all across Eastern Europe, to a point that now we have brigades that are Nazis, like freaking seriously. On top, Colonel Chris Wyatt, breaking: South African refugees arrive in USA. South African refugees. And below, Bobby Wine dares Ugandan Museveni. Right? He's daring a person who has been in charge for 40 years. Like I said. So this is the phenomenon that has arisen in our beautiful nation of Tanzania. Wakislam, right, comes from two words. Wakristu, meaning Christians, and Islam. Wakislam, right, refers to a Tanzanian citizen specifically from a younger generation. Not to be specific, right? We don't care about Gen Zs, no millennials. We are just citizens of Tanzania. who actively resist religious division by emphasizing national and generational unity over religious identity. It is a term of solidarity, humor, and defiance. So, Nigeria, adapt quick. The battle for your brain, right? This is what the British have been doing. You can look it up yourself. Right? I traumatized myself by listening to what this whole article here had to say. So you have to do the same. Huh? Vucic, right? Since you are an upright man, please take my advice. Take my advice. Okay, not that people have been selling out this. Even Robert Fico here, talking about they are stooges of Russia. I don't say it. I just see you as leaders who are trying to maintain their independence and secure the interests of their country, and then nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. This is what I'm doing here, enabling countries to have their sovereignty in whatever manner it may be. Weaponry, advice. So, don't be at the mercy of the US government. Politics is not, global politics is not connected like that. This is a bad game that you inherited, and you are the one to put a stop to it. You are the one to put a stop to it. You tell the Americans. You have a conversation with the Americans. Don't beg for stuff. Don't beg. You don't want to beg with the colonial power. It's a terrible idea. Okay? Take it from Africans. Right? Especially when it comes to important issues like this. Right? Have a conversation, a genuine conversation. Why do you feel threatened? Right? Why, as the livelihood of your people, feel threatened by another foreign country? Are you an enemy of their state or something? Have you done anything to their detriment or anything like that? So I hope they give you say documents. If not, then again I circle back to my conversation. Another Ukraine in the making here, right? Another Ukraine in the making, in real time. High level of readiness. Readiness against what? Hypersonic missiles or something? Are you... It was a joke. For you to lose your relevancy. A drone, a tiny drone with, I don't know, a 5-kilogram package, right? I would literally just aim it at TCMC over there. Full stop. How about that for strategy, if you are thinking about war? Just a tiny drone. You can literally put it in your back pocket. This is where we are. Okay, this is the war. And what would happen to the world after TCMC has a disruption? The semiconductor industry is going in the toilet, literally. And the only people who are going to have any edge at that particular point are going to be the Chinese. It is tempting for you to retaliate, but let's have an honest conversation. If you were to share blows, who would be the first to recover? Do you think the Europeans, do you think the Japanese have money to just float your way for recovery after the war? Do you think that's the case? Do you hear the conversations that are being had about Ukraine over there and their whole reparation loans, whatever that means? This is real life. Make peace. This is not about China ruling over you or anything like that. For in fact, you'll be safe. So my advice, stop this nonsense, or it will escalate quick. The Japanese are not even making it better. They're actually making it worse, aren't they? But again, I'm trying to be the voice of reason, but hey, what do I know? Eh? I just gotta show it, right? So Hezbollah has warned, now Hamas is warning. Iran has warned many times. Now, who is destabilizing the Middle East again? Here they are. Secret understanding that led to Hamas to agree to Trump's plan and the implications for Israel, right? Israel suspects that the terrorist organization has reached secret understanding with the mediators and the US. Right? First of all, look at the inflammatoriness of this whole situation. So you're trying to say that the persons that you're trying to negotiate with for peace, you have already called them a terrorist. Do you think that is healthy or something? Again, these people are on the path of self-destruction, you know. Let's continue. So that in exchange for the return of the hostages, it will survive in Gaza the day after. The day after, that is your situation and propaganda, right? The day after, what it means for Israel and what it means for the Palestinians, two different stories. And by the way it is looking now, yeah, right? But hey, they have trust issues against the US, right? Maybe that lobby money needs to like double or something. Right? So they got something, the Hamas got something, and they're upset about it. And Hamas has said, and we have even brought their statements here, they have no intention of ruling Gaza. They have said it. Establish a Palestinian state with borders and a government, and they will submit to that government, not to any pushover government that you try to install over there. No. That is just a strategic decision. Why do you think Hamas, they are idiots and you are the most sophisticated people on earth? Like, seriously. Your ego is literally killing you and your civilization. Freaking Europeans, man. Yeah? So, the understanding, the stabilization force will no longer disarm Hamas. I think we had a conversation about this. The goal that has almost been achieved, right? The cities that the Americans want to establish and likely candidate to govern the Gaza Strip. Govern Gaza Strip? What do you mean? We are talking about, we need a state. We're not talking about a strip. You can make a state out of a strip. We need a state. That's what we need. No negotiations, no nothing. That is the consensus of the world. So you try to use your buying of TikTok and whatever, and using politicians. You do that, please. But I'm going to tell you this for a fact. It's not going to end well for you. So now only the powers that be understand this picture and why I grabbed it. First and foremost, you have everything over there planned out, everything, where I am to go and this and that, and stop being assholes. What do you want? Exactly. What do you want? Because you want something from me that I don't think I have in my back pocket or in my house or anything like that. So what do you want? Be specific. All of them, right? The powers that be, they are behind everybody. It's crazy. So you tell me. I'll be waiting. Specifically. Okay? Forget about Alaska. Forget about Japan. A nigga ain't going there. Okay? A nigga ain't going there. So, conversate amongst yourselves and be specifically, what do you want? Do you want war? Do you want peace? Do you want this or do you want that? As of who I'm gonna be with in the future, that is up to me. Okay? That is up to me. Not up to anybody. Okay? Okay. So anyway, this video I didn't expect it to go this long, right? 90 something minutes, right? 97 minutes up to this point. So anyway, let me put a pin on it right there, and we'll hear from each other when we hear from each other. When, I don't know. How? YouTube. Prince Easy. Love you. Signing out. Bye.